Welcome, guys, to another episode of the Xxtra Krispy podcast. It's episode 2, baby. Episode 2, okay? We got through episode 1. Took a little time to get to episode 2. We've had some things happen since episode 1, right? Some pretty big things. Of course, the biggest thing is probably the presidential election, becoming the 46th president of the United States, Joe Biden. It was looking a little dicey there for a second, not knowing which president would be elected. And still, it seems like people are trying to, I guess, redo the count. Claims of voter fraud and stuff like that you see in the media from the losing side of the election. And I guess we'll see how that goes. I mean, Biden is supposed to be sworn into office on January 20th of 2021. Getting past the 2020 year, going into 2021, which hopefully is a lot more promising than 2020 has been. Obviously, COVID-19, the death of Kobe Bryant, the loss of jobs, the issue with the current president in half the country of the United States. You know, the other half, they love him like a god or something. And so hopefully 2021 starts off with a positive bang with the 46th president, Joe Biden, and Vice President Kamala Harris, the first female vice president. Now, getting into episode 2 of the Xxtra podcast, this is something I wanted to touch on last episode, but I totally forgot. And honestly, I feel like a big part of what helped Joe Biden win the election or be associated with a strong character that would help him win the election is the fact that he's tied to Barack Obama, right? And Barack Obama, to me, I mean, I know that maybe with his presidency he could have did more for the black community and the minority community and police reform, prison reform, and education reform and stuff like that. But at the same time, at least he was a black president who carried himself in a way that black children could look up to when it comes to ethics and just a role model. You know, when I was a kid, there never had been a black president in 200 years. And to me, when I was a child, I never believed that there was a black president, that there ever would be a black president. I never believed that I can be president myself. I looked through the history books, and at the back of the history book was all the presidents. And I looked back there, and I was about 7 or 8 years old, maybe when I first really started to understand race and race relations and stuff like that. And I looked at it, and I was like, okay, all these presidents are white. None of these presidents look like my dad. None of these presidents look like me. There's no way of me becoming president. So I decided instead of becoming president, I would try to pursue to become Michael Jackson. But then I didn't. But then I realized I can't be Michael Jackson because I don't want to become white. Although I don't think Michael Jackson became white on purpose. But that's what happened. Now, back to the topic at hand with the election and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Barack Obama being affiliated with Joe Biden. Most likely giving Joe Biden and I mean, people don't give so much credit to Barack Obama. You know, they always want to take the credit from the black man. All right. Now, I believe his affiliation with Barack Obama helped propel him to have the momentum to defeat Donald Trump. Because let's not lie here, right? Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton because people didn't have trust in Hillary Clinton on the whole, in all of the country who subscribed to being a Democrat. If you were a Democrat, didn't necessarily meant that you sided with Hillary Clinton. And people who were Trump supporters, they all supported Trump. I know that there's some Republicans that probably didn't vote for Trump, but if you were a supporter, it was like being, it was like a religion. Riding with Trump's team was like your cult. And they came out in droves the first time, and you knew that they were going to come out even harder the second time. So it took a certain character to defeat Trump. I mean, I think Barry Sanders could have beat Trump, but he wasn't going to get that Democratic nod because, at the end of the day, all these politicians are just pretty corrupt on both sides. And I think Bernie Sanders, Barry Sanders, the running back. I think Bernie Sanders, had a lot of things that he wants to do with the country that, in my belief, would have definitely changed for the better dramatically, But, you got a guy like Joe Biden, and, he says he's going to do this and that, and hopefully he does, and Kamala Harris, and, having a black woman in office. I know that she's, probably half or something like that, but, she still identifies as a black woman. And hopefully she can hold Biden accountable in their council and everything like that. And, if she's real, you know what I'm saying? So, other things. I was about to say too. And let's talk about Barack Obama's 3-pointer he hit, right before the election day. I'm sorry. He hit that 3-pointer and it went viral. And he said, "That's what I do." And I can't lie, that 3-pointer, that form was cleaner than mine. I wouldn't really want to have to guard Obama in a 5-on-5 like that, I mean, 1-on-1, I could probably take him. I know he's in his 50s, but, I'm solid on D. But in a 5-on-5, he could be running off screens, and it looks like he's a knockdown shooter from behind the arc. I ain't gonna lie, I was impressed. Now, should being able to knock down a 3 mean that you have influence on who people vote for? It shouldn't, but it does, all right? I mean, those kind of things, they attract attention, and, then you start looking into what he's involved in and who's involved with him and so on and so forth. So, like I said, I think the Joe Biden win is kind of like a continuation from Barack Obama's presidency, and, having Kamala Harris there, it helps the narrative that we're trying to change in this country, and this presidency is trying to make the changes rather than making America great again, which is a fallacy. America was never great for minorities, especially black people. Let's make America great for the first time. All right. Let's improve on America. This the greatest country in the world, and let's improve on what we have started, I believe, since Barack Obama's presidency, and honestly, I'm not a Trump hater, I don't hate Trump, I think he's done some things, some decent things, with the pardons of several black inmates that Kim Kardashian West helped bring attention to the president you know. And maybe those things were done to kind of redirect uh negative talks about him, you know. I mean, because at the end of the day, is that was prison reform done on a mass level? No. It was only done for a selective few, but I mean, we gotta appreciate some things, you know, and I'm not saying that. It's kind of like we shouldn't really give too much credit to people who are only righting wrongs. When people are wrongly, falsely imprisoned, we shouldn't pat the president on the back because he pardoned them when they shouldn't have been there in the first place, right? But unfortunately, in this country, there's so much wickedness and corruption for hundreds of years, especially towards the black community and minorities communities, that it's like we almost give people the pat on the back just for really enforcing real justice, you know, just for real justice. That's just, you know, I don't know. Anyways, Barack Obama hit that 3-pointer, and I was impressed by his game. So, also some stuff that happened in since our last podcast in episode 1, you know, the PS5 came out, PlayStation 5. In the past few years, 6 years since PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, I've been an Xbox guy because I play Madden with a couple, well, not a couple, but a league of friends in franchise mode, and you know, I want to be able to talk smack. I want to be able to compete against competitors who are good at Madden, and that was a community of people I associated with in Madden. They you know, they use the Xbox, and so we all got the Xbox, you know. And but before that, I was a Sony guy, you know. PlayStation, that just sounds, to me, it sounds smooth. PlayStation, Sony always seemed like a smooth brand to me, you know. Microsoft always seemed a little Microsoft, you know. Like, I don't want to be known as Microsoft. PlayStation, you feel me? Sony, Microsoft. That don't sound right. Microsoft. I don't think no man wants to be Microsoft, right? At least be large soft. Oh, Micro Steel, not no Microsoft. Anyways, but you know, the Xbox, you know, the community of people I was playing Madden with, they all went that Xbox route, so it becomes mob mentality, tribalism, you know. A group of people are doing it, and it's like, you know, you want to be left out and not have a community of people to play Madden with, or you want to go with this community, you know. But going forward, I might subscribe to the PlayStation 5 rather than the Xbox Series X. Now, I'm not going to buy it no time soon. I normally wait a year or two before I buy a next-gen console, because then the price is lower. And honestly, at this point in my life, I can't play that much video games. I love video games. They're entertaining, but they're also a waste of time for me, you know. If I was aspiring to be some type of gaming influencer or major league gamer, then I would put that time and effort, because there is a benefit to playing video games financially, for sure. There's a benefit to playing video games psychologically, I think too. You know, that split second decision making that you do in video games, I think that does develop some type of skill with your brain capacity. Now, the PS5 is $500 to $800. Like I said, I'm gonna wait a couple years till that price drops at least $100, $150. Come on, feel me? The reason why it's $500 to $800 because there's the digital PS5 where you download all your video games digitally, and then there's the one where you can do the hard copies, and I'm pretty sure download digitally video games also. But like I said, I'm gonna wait a couple years. Y'all can buy that now and enjoy it. I'm gonna wait till one of y'all come up on some financial crises and you're gonna have to resell it to GameStop. And then it's going to be a markdown because it was previously owned. That's what I'm going to wait for. All right, I'm gonna give me some discounts on this shit. So, some more things that have happened since episode 1. DeAndre Hopkins Hail Mary catch that just happened yesterday on Sunday Night Football. All right, I don't know if it was Sunday Night Football, but it was Sunday football. All right. Depending on what coast you're in, West Coast, East Coast was the time of the day. I don't know. You know, although I can say this, that was impressive because you rarely see Hail Marys be converted for a win, you know. And DeAndre Hopkins, man, he was going up against like three guys. Three guys were around him. And these are all professional athletes. All these dudes got bounce. All these dudes are studs. All these guys can catch. All these guys have played receiver most likely at some point in their life. But DeAndre Hopkins is just that dude. He's just next level. If you don't pay attention to football, you know, sorry for this portion right here, but let me just break it down for everybody so this can be universal. Imagine in your profession, you are facing devastation, a loss, an L. In your profession, you have a team around you, right? And the ship is sinking. And in last desperations, to save your team from this L, whatever your profession might be, right? Everybody has teams in their profession. Music, sports, business. There's always a team. Doctors, policing, law. There's always a team of people working for the common goal. And in this situation, an L was coming. Devastation, a loss was coming. Your team depended on you to come through and deliver in a last-second Hail Mary desperation. They depend on you to make that play, that move. And there's a gang of people going against you singularly at this moment. And you're not even shook. The odds don't even faze you. You're so focused to put the team on your back. And you pull off a miraculous move, catch it, hold on to it. You bring home the W for your whole squad. I don't care what the profession is, man. I don't care what the profession is. That's impressive. That's a testament to your preparation, to your skills, your talent, and DeAndre Hopkins worth every penny. The Texans, fools for trading him. That's all I got to say. Now I got to bring this up if we're going to talk about football because I'm a Raider fan. Raiders 6-3. We on our way to the playoffs. I'm gonna make that short and sweet. You know, 6-3 Raiders on our way to the playoffs. Super Bowl contenders, maybe. We'll see. Alrighty, so in sports too, the Lakers. The Lakers are thinking about or trying to. Well, I mean, it seems like the trade is about to go through. Trying to acquire Dennis Schroeder. I'm also a Laker fan. That's why I speak on this real brief because this is the Extra Crispy podcast where I talk about what I want to talk about when I don't have guests. Now, I will soon to have guests because I just got my second mic and we'll have some guests on soon. Okay, guys? All right. So Lakers, Raiders, we the shit. Keep doing it. All right. Some other news that's happened, unfortunate news that's happened since episode 1 of the Extra Crispy podcast. Rapper from Chicago, King Vons, was murdered in Atlanta. And it's what seems to be almost like a scene out of the Wild West in 2020. 6 people were shot. 2 people were killed. Very unfortunate. Honestly, man, I can't lie. Something deep inside of me really bothers me when I see black on black crime. I mean, it bothers me when I see anybody killing anybody, right? But it just happens to be so often, especially when it comes to rappers and I guess the media putting that in front of our faces, black on black crime, and especially with rap artists. I mean, I don't know why this happens over and over and over every year, and it's sad. It's unfortunate. These people, they have children. They're somebody's children. They made it out of a situation. They're making money, and I don't know the exact details around King Von's murder, but I do know that it's very sad and unfortunate, and hopefully their souls rest in heaven. Hopefully their family can find some type of healing and forgiveness for whoever did this. I know forgiveness is something that we all don't like to talk about. Human nature is revenge. To forgive is the godlike quality, right? So hopefully, in a bad situation, it's easier said than done. But hopefully there can be some type of healing and positivity that derives from this in their family and from the killer's family. I mean, I believe somebody has been arrested and charged with this murder. Oh, don't tell me this person's horn's gonna be honking during my podcast. Oh, thank God. So hopefully with the killer too, his family, because people don't understand. Yeah, you killed somebody, but now you're gonna go to life. Now you're gonna go to prison for life. Your life is ruined. You did something foolish. Over what? Over nothing. It's very unfortunate, man. Also, another rapper who I knew because he associated himself with Boosie Badass, a rapper who was killed in Dallas, Mo3. Another unfortunate situation. I guess Mo3 had been at a female friend's house, and when he left her residence, some assailants in a car were following him, and he wasn't sure, and he pulled over at a gas station, and then it became clear to him he was being followed, so he jumped on the freeway. I guess there was traffic. He tried to go around traffic, trying to lose the assailants, the people who were chasing him. He ended up crashing and getting out of his car, trying to run down the freeway when I guess a suspect gave chase, and they shot at him, hitting Mo3 in the back of the head, also shooting a innocent bystander with non-life-threatening injury. But another super unfortunate situation. Another black man killed, most likely by another black man. Most likely. Rather, I should say, we don't know, right? Could have had beef with Mexicans. Could have had beef with some whites. But if the trend of rappers being killed is what is normally, then that's the case. And like I said, it's very unfortunate, man, because these people, man, like, who kill one another, who look like one another, it's sad because we can all be getting money. We can all be loving each other. We can all be so many hip hop artists, rappers who could be doing great things have been taken out for so many generations now. And I'm sure that, I know that this is something that, and this is what people don't understand, right? Because I don't want to put all the blame on my brothers out there, all right? People don't understand this mentality came from white supremacy. putting people, oppressing people, so that they grow up poverty-stricken, stealing our culture, denying us our culture from Africa, and having people lost and confused, where when somebody makes it out, jealousy and envy stirs up in a weak man, because he hasn't been equipped with the tools to combat these things. He's been put down so much, and some people make it out of being put down, and some people don't. And that's why nobody can judge nobody. Only God can judge, Unfortunately, though, so many black men have been killed by other black men just because of the crab in the barrel mentality and who knows what, right? The hood mentality, which is a fallacy, and trying to stick to the code and death before dishonor, things like that. Not knowing that all this just comes from most of the time, it just comes from the effects of white supremacy. This is how they wanted us to act, from hundreds of years ago. This is the oppression. This is the result of the oppression, right? The ignorance and the violence and stuff like that. So that's unfortunate. Two rappers killed since episode 1. But speaking on hip hop terms, I have a segment today that we're gonna go through. This segment is the top 5 villains in hip hop. Top 5 villains in hip hop. So I started a top 5 list. Top 5 villains in hip hop. We're gonna start off with number 5, Marion Suge Knight. All right. Now, you guys might know him by Suge, right? Big Suge. One of the co-founders of Death Row, right? Marion Suge Knight, who's now serving 20-something years in prison, unfortunately, for I believe manslaughter, killing his friend by accident, while being I think chased at the NWA production set during the movie Straight Outta Compton. And Suge Knight was the boogeyman of hip hop. He was the boogeyman of hip hop for a period of time. A lot of rappers who were around at that time speak about kind of his aura and the fear he tried to place on people, the bullying he tried to place on people. From about 89 to 98, he was the boogeyman of hip hop. I mean, there's stories about him hanging Vanilla Ice by his legs outside the window, making him sign over his rights for I believe Ice Ice Baby. Him trying to bully Puff Daddy and Bad Boys Records, even before Tupac was a part of Death Row. Him bullying producers, beating up producers that were part of his camp, other people who were associated with Death Row. There's stories of him getting upset, shooting a gun next to somebody's ear for using a telephone that was supposed to be exclusively for particular people who were in Death Row. I think maybe it was a phone that only should have been used by like Dr. Dre and Suge or something like that, and somebody was on it, and he told him to get off of it, and the dude was like, I ain't getting off this phone or whatever, and Suge Knight came back, shot a gun next to his ear. I think he allegedly made him strip or something like that. He done made people get pissed on. There's stories about him making people get pissed on. Stories of people getting their ass beat at Death Row. His antics have gotten numerous of people killed. He was associated with Mob Piru and used those guys for his security and his enforcers, and unfortunately a lot of them were killed being associated with Suge in the situations that he put them in as a leader. Obviously Tupac Shakur being murdered in Vegas, Suge played a role in that because he had Tupac out there like he was a soldier, when Tupac should have been treated like the cash cow, and should have never let or never influenced Tupac to try to act in the manners that he was in that last year of his life. Being associated with Mob Piru, and a lot of these stories and things like that were confirmed and elaborated on by Mob Piru. I don't know if he's ex or he considered himself ex-member of Mob Piru. Mob James, who you can see on Vlad TV, tell his stories and stuff like that about his death row days and Suge Knight and Tupac and all that. So that was number 5. Suge Knight is the number 5 villain in hip hop on my list. I put him at number 5 because at the end of the day, he did do a lot of good things for hip hop. He was a part of a legendary record label who could have probably been the biggest hip hop record label of all time. Suge Knight probably could have been the first hip hop billionaire. Unfortunately, he didn't. He was a captain of a ship that led his ship to wreck. Now, number 4 on the list, the number 4 villain in hip hop on my list, Eric Holder, aka Shitty Cuh. He's infamous for the assassination of Nipsey Hussle on March 31st, 2019. Eric Holder, aka Shitty Cuh, assassinated Nipsey Hussle, shooting him around 10 times. I guess the story goes that there was a snitch jacket put on Eric Holder, meaning that he had told on somebody to reduce his sentencing or get out of a legal situation himself. And, Nipsey and Shitty Cuh both being from Rolling 60s Crip, Nipsey, sticking to the code, just, pretty much said, I can't associate myself with you. This is as I've heard the story go, and which is understandable, because if a man's a snitch and you're around people who subscribe to a code where, if you a part of this thing, if you do the crime, you got to do the time. Don't be trying to get out of it by snitching on your counterpart. There's honor to this thing. Honor amongst criminals. Thieves. Not all of them. Not every single person who's a part of Rolling 60s is a criminal or a thief. I'm saying, but the people who were charged and he told on, obviously gave the police what they needed to convict these people. And you shouldn't really tell on your people if they're doing wrong. Depends on what it is too. I mean, you guys should really handle that internally, I believe, for sure. At the end of the day, the police system is a white supremacist structure. I mean, look at who's in prison. But Nipsey, just told him, I can't be around you. You can't come around me. You got the snitch jacket on you. Get that cleared up. And I don't know, it struck a chord in Shitty Cuh, and he went, grabbed a gun from the car that he got a ride in, came back. Nipsey didn't have his security with him that day. He was at his shopping center in LA, and that he owned, trying to uplift the community, trying to have black ownership in his community, and Shitty Cud came back and killed him. Shot him multiple, up to 10 times. Came back, kicked him, shot him again. A man full of hatred, jealousy. That's the obviousness, right? He had to be jealous, and for that reason, taking out somebody who was going to be so promising for the black community, who had a lot more things to do for the black community, a lot more things to do for people, a lot more things to do for hip hop, was making great content for hip hop. His debut studio album, Victory Lap, was, I think, Grammy worthy. It's a great album. And Shitty Cud wiped them out, for nothing. This is somebody who changed the trajectory of hip hop, changed the trajectory of the black community, and that's why I have him as the number 4 villain in hip hop. Now, number 3, the number 3 villain in hip hop I have on my list, Jerry Heller. Jerry Heller was the manager of Eazy-E and NWA back in the 80s. And he pretty much single-handedly, well, I don't want to say single-handedly, but he influenced Eazy-E, I believe, financially, and that didn't sit right with other members of NWA. They felt that they were due more of the portion of the money, and Jerry Heller, kind of manipulated the whole situation, leading Ice Cube to leave the group first in '89. I think Cube only received like $32,000 in royalties at that time from the records that they sold with NWA, and he wrote majority of the stuff, and they had sold millions of albums. Should result to millions of dollars, right? Even Dr. Dre was being scammed. I mean, I think in '92 they said that he made like $89,000 off of the records he sold with NWA. And this guy was the producer, the hit maker. And eventually Eazy-E realized that Jerry Heller was stealing money from the company Ruthless Records that they had together, and was swiping millions of dollars that that money that was due to Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, Eazy-E, Yella, MC Ren, But instead, this man pocketed it for himself and kind of kept a veil over Eazy-E's eyes for a long time, And one of Eazy-E's artists speaks on this, BG Knockout, and he talks about where Eazy-E shows him documents that prove that Jerry Heller was stealing millions of dollars from Ruthless Records. And that's why I have Jerry Heller at number 3, because if you think about the trajectory, if you think about the importance to hip-hop NWA had, and for him to kind of destroy the supergroup with the negative influence, the splitting of brothers, that he had on Eazy-E, I mean, I'm sure that there's other managers who have done this to rap groups, done this to hip-hop artists, stealing money from them. And Jerry Heller is kind of just the staple for it, He's kind of the icon. I mean, not the icon. He's kind of the, how can I say? I'm sure you guys listening to the podcast are thinking of the word, but he fits the perfect image for it, right? For that, he might be the person who really created the stigma, for, I'm not being anti-Semitic. I'm just speaking what the the narrative is sometimes, the Jewish manager or the Jewish agent, taking money from the black artist, that, the black artist doesn't have the education on the business side of hip hop, and they get taken for their money. And Jerry Heller fits that. He's like the staple of it, He's like I just wish I had the word. But you guys get it. Anyway, that's why he's number 3 on my list. All right. Number 2, Donald Trump. Number 2 villain hip hop. Number 2 villain in hip hop, I believe, is Donald Trump. He's the 45th president of the United States. At one point, he was admired by hip hop. You could hear songs, people referencing Donald Trump, in metaphors, trying to speak on their money and their mentality being like Trump's, because Trump was known as a businessman. Trump associated himself with people in hip hop and black people, often seen at parties with, Puffy, and had Snoop Dogg on his roast and everything like that. And I'm sure he knew these guys decently. But things changed when Trump decided to start his campaign to become president. And honestly, they kind of started changing first when Barack Obama got elected. Trump always trying to discredit Obama and speak ill about him, trying to drag his name through the mud. And I think that started the dislike for Trump in the black community, in the hip hop community. And then he just doubled down, he just continued to double down. Speaking negatively about Hispanic immigrants and speaking negatively about black and Hispanic countries, referring them as shithole countries, not assisting Puerto Rico during the Hurricane Maria crisis, not assisting Puerto Rico as much as we should, because they're a territory of America, and they were going through some hard times, and I'm sure they're still going through some hard times. That was only 3 years ago in 2017. Not denouncing white supremacy on many occasions that he had the chance to. Not supporting the Black Lives Matter movement and in the protests against police brutality. And you've heard it in the iconic song by YG and Nipsey Hussle, "Fuck Donald Trump," And I think that's I think that sums up the narrative to how hip hop feels. Sums up the vibe how hip hop feels about Donald Trump, and a lot of people in entertainment and on the left side of politics, But because of who he is and how powerful he is, that's why I have him as the number 2 villain in hip hop. There's people who co-sign him in hip hop, who still speak kindly of him and stuff like that. But most of hip hop doesn't ride with Trump, and that's why he's the number 2 villain on my list here. The number 1 villain in hip hop that I have on my list is Tekashi 6ix9ine. Now I'm gonna come out plain simple why I have him on the as number 1. Plain and simple why I have him as number 1. Literally almost nobody co-signs this guy in hip hop anymore. Now Tekashi 6ix9ine was arrested and indicted on charges in 2018 along with members of the 9 Trey Bloods, a blood gang out of New York. Such charges as racketeering, extortion, conspiracy to commit murder, drug distribution, and robbery, right? And there is solid evidence that 6ix9ine was a part of this. Now, rather than 6ix9ine staying true to his street mentality that he claimed to have had, and you know, his thoroughness that he claimed to have had, and him being a real gangster, you know. Instead, he snitched real quick, facing a long prison stint. He snitched quick. He snitched a lot. He told a lot. He probably even told on things that weren't even about his situation. And, you know, the judicial system rewarded him. You know, he destroyed many of black men's lives with his squealing, many of black families' lives with his squealing. And, you know, were these guys guilty? Maybe a lot of them, yeah. But if you're somebody who they let into the circle, and, you know, you want to be a part of this outlaw team, then you got to live by the code, man. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. These people let you in, and you were pretty much like a narc, like an undercover cop. You know, that's why there's conspiracies that 6ix9ine was working for the feds all along, you know. And it's a conspiracy, but I could see that being true. You know, I don't put nothing past these white supremacist organizations like the FBI and stuff like that, you know. And people think, oh, Troy, you're crazy for calling the FBI a white supremacist group. Like, who J. Edgar Hoover? That guy was a total freaking white supremacist. He was a total hater. You know? He was single-handedly the engine to hold back black people during the civil rights movement, you know? And who knows how many black people he had killed, right? So many Black Panthers, so many people who marched with Dr. King, and so many people who were part of the Nation of Islam at that time. I mean, I'm sure the FBI killed a lot of them under J. Edgar Hoover's command, right? So, wouldn't be surprised that the feds would derive a plan like this to insert a mole into the 9 Trey Bloods camp. And maybe it is conspiracy. Maybe it was just coincidence, you know, that this kid, he's not a kid, he's a man. I mean, he's not much of a man, but he's a grown man. You know, and he decided to be a part of this gang, and he decided to talk all this shit in hip hop, and then he snitches, and he gets out, and he gets off with a slap on the wrist for all these serious crimes that he was involved in. That was clear cut. That was clear. Where there was clear cut evidence that he was a part of these crimes. And you know what? Got a slap on the wrist. While these people, while everybody else is doing serious time. And then this guy comes out and he makes songs that kind of show that he's not apologetic about it. I mean, he says that they were smashing his girl, his baby mama, and they were trying to kill him and trying to rob him. But these are the people you wanted to associate yourself with, you know? I don't know the intricacies of all this. Maybe. I'm not saying you deserve this, but kind of, right? I mean, look at your antics. Look how you act. We all got one life to live, man. And things are based on our choices and how we speak and how we speak about people and the things we do and stuff like that. And, you know, him visiting Nipsey Hussle's mural or memorial after he had gotten released, knowing that Nipsey Hussle didn't rock with him even before he had passed away, even before 6ix9ine had got arrested. Because 6ix9ine was doing some clown stuff back then. And, just showing the ultimate disrespect. Just trying to be a troll. Thinking it's all hee funny. And I don't wish nothing bad on nobody. But the fact that he acted in these ways is the reason why nobody in hip-hop co-signs this guy. But Nicki Minaj. Which she's crazy. And that's why, to me, on my list, he's the number one villain in hip-hop. So, that concludes my top 5 villain in hip-hop. I'll probably do some more top 5 lists. And I really don't have much left that I pre-writ subjects on for this podcast today. I've been slacking on my Mackin', baby. All right? I've been trying to do a lot of different things in my life right now, and I'm juggling, And I need to become more disciplined so I can get these podcasts out on a scheduled time, I'm trying to release a Monday and Thursday. A Monday podcast where I do one solo, a Thursday podcast where I have a guest, And we all got to work towards completing our goals, and I can't be a person who speaks on discipline and achieving your goals if I don't do it myself. So that's why I got this podcast out today, because I got to. I didn't shave my head, right? I look a little scruffy ruffy, But we can't make excuses, guys. At the end of the day, it's about doing it. All right? You don't have to be at your best every day. But every day, you got to grind. The only days you should be resting is Sunday. The only days you should be resting, only times you should be resting is when it's time to decompress from the day you've already had. You always need to work. You need to grind. You need to exercise. You need to construct a plan. I mean, I really want to start writing out my agenda for the week on a calendar. I don't know if people do that out there already, but that's what I want to do. I want to get a calendar and start writing my agenda, my plans for each day, the goals I'm trying to meet, small goals that I'm trying to meet each day, small goals I'm trying to eat each week, and then write out larger goals that I'm trying to accomplish in life. And it's just life is so short and life is so beautiful at the same time that we really got to squeeze out every last bit of juice we can from this thing, and that's what I'm trying to do. To all the people who feel like Troy Douglas can't be around so much anymore, to all the people who feel like I've changed in the past 4 or 5 years since my father passed away, since I had children and started forming my family, all I got to say is this is the life I want to live. Everything I do is because I want to do it. I don't want to waste time no more drinking and partying, chasing women. I don't want to waste time anymore shooting the shit. I don't want to say wasted, but I've used a lot of my life on that already. And I'm sure it's made me the man I am today, so I don't regret it. Because now my mentality is the mentality that I want. The ambition that I was looking for. It was developing, and now it's here, And I'm continuing to develop it till it's refined. Until my last days, God willing, as a very, very old man. So we're going to keep rocking with the Xxtra Crispy podcast. We're going to speak positivity. We're going to wish one another fortune and love and family and blessings. And then I'm going to wrap it up for episode 2 of the Xxtra Crispy podcast. Thank you guys for listening, watching. Peace out.